Hey, welcome to our new YouTube video. In this tutorial we're going to be building a contact card with HTML, CSS and a little bit of JavaScript. The project is going to be kind of simple one with a modern design and some nice effects. So I think you will enjoy building it. As I said, the project is going to be built based on three technologies: HTML, CSS and JavaScript, so I expect that you already know some basic stuff of them. Alright, before we start to build the project, let's have a brief look at it. So as you can see, we have a little card in the center of the page. It has some info about the person, I mean the image, full name and some description, and down below we have a button. If I click it, then the button will change its shape, position and content, and also three different boxes will appear with some social media contact details of the person. If I click again the button, then we will get back the previous state of the card. So that's it, what we're going to build. I hope it's going to be interesting because you will learn about how to create such effects. Okay, so I have created a new folder on the desktop called card. There is a folder in it for the images. I'm going to open this folder in VS Code and then create three different files for HTML, CSS and JavaScript. The first one is going to be index.html. Then we will have style.css and script.js. Okay, let's go ahead and create the basic HTML document. For that I'm going to use Emmet. If I put here an exclamation mark and then press enter or tab, we'll get the basic structure of the HTML document. Let's go ahead and change the title. I'm going to put here contact card. And then after that, let's link all three files. I'm going to open link tag in the head element for the CSS file. Let's put here the name of the file. Then we need to open the script tag right above the closing body tag. And in the source attribute, we have to specify the path of the file. Alright, that's it. All three files are connected. Next, I'm going to bring in a couple of additional links. Throughout the project, I'm going to use the Font Awesome icons and Google Fonts. So let's go ahead and search for Font Awesome CDN.js. Then go to the first link, select CSS and grab the first link from here. Then I need to open the link tag and put the link as the value of the href attribute. Alright, that's it regarding the Font Awesome icons. Let's go ahead and bring in the link for the Google Font. I'm going to search for Google Fonts. So throughout this tutorial I'm going to use a font called Dosis. Let's customize it because we will use different font weights. Then grab the link and paste it in the head element. Alright, so now it's time to run the project to the browser. For that I'm going to use one of the VS Code packages called Live Server. It allows us to run the project live to the browser and make updates without refreshing the page. So you can go ahead and install this package. Okay. Lastly, let's place the editor and the browser side by side, like so, and get started. So at first I'm going to start with HTML markup. We will prepare the entire HTML structure of the project, and then we will add to it CSS and JavaScript. Let's go ahead and open div tag, which is going to be the container of the entire content. Then inside the container I'm going to create the card itself. So the card will consist of a couple of different parts. We will have card bio, card contact, some social media contacts, and so on. Let's go ahead and start with card bio. It will include the image of the person, description, and button. So let's open div tag and assign to it class card bio. Then insert in it another div, which is going to be the wrapper of the image. I'm going to call it img wrapper. And I'm going to put here an image tag. In the source attribute we have to specify the path of the image. and also I'm going to put here person as the value of alt attribute. And besides that, I'm going to define the width of the image from here for a while. Let's make it 100 pixels. Actually, we will do that from CSS at the end of the day. Alright, next we need personal information. So let's open the div tag with the class person info and insert here h3 heading element for the full name of the person. I'm going to insert here Jane Brown. And also we need the paragraph for some description. Let's add here some dummy text. Alright, finally we need to create the button, I mean the black button that will move and change the shape once we click it. Let's assign to it class cardBTN. So inside that button we will have two parts. The first one is going to be the span element with the text contact me. As for the second one, it's going to be the icon. So let's assign to the span element cardBTN contact. And then insert here text contact me. And next I'm going to put here font awesome icon, which should have class names FAS, FA-angle-up. Okay, so that's it about the card bio. Let's move on to the next part. Next we have to create the heading contact me, which then will hide and appear on click. So let's open the div tag with the class card contact and insert in it h4 heading element with the text contact me. Alright, so half of the markup is created. Next we have to take care of the 3 different white boxes that will be used for some social media contact information. So let's open div tag and assign to it class card social. This is going to be the common class for common styling, but we need also the individual class for the individual styling. The first box is going to be for the email, so let's assign to it a class email. Actually, each box will consist of a font awesome icon and some contact details. Let's open the div tag, which is going to be the wrapper for the font awesome icon. Let's assign to it class icon wrapper. And then insert here I element with classes FAS, FA-envelope. After that, we need to put here some contact details. So let's open another div tag with the class contact details. I'm going to put here h4 heading element with the text email. Next we need paragraph, which will include the actual email address of the person. And also I'm going to insert here a little arrow, which will be expressed by the angle bracket. Let's open span element and put it here. Alright, that's it about the first social media contact. Overall we will have 3 of them. So let's duplicate this code twice and then make some changes. I'm going to change the class name. We need FB as the Facebook. Then I'm going to change the class of the I element. We need FAB, FA-Facebook-square. Then we need here Facebook and the full name of the person, Jane Brown. Okay, next is going to be LinkedIn. Change the classes of the I element, FAB, FA-LinkedIn. Also, we need here LinkedIn and then the username @JaneBrown. Alright, so finally we are done with the HTML markup. All the elements are created and prepared. So it's time to move on and start to write the CSS. First of all, I'm going to create some reset styles. I want to get rid of the default margin and padding from every element. In order to select them, we have to use an asterisk. And then I'm going to set both margin and padding to 0. Alright, so throughout this project I'm going to use rem as the measurement unit. By default, 1 rem is equal to 16 pixels because right now the font size of the HTML element equals to 16 pixels. I want to convert 1 rem into 10 pixels because it's going to be more convenient and easy to calculate. So to do that, we have to decrease the font size of the HTML element from 100% to 62.5%. So now 1 rem is equal to 10 pixels. As you can see, the size of the elements decreased. Okay, let's move on and take care of the container. I want the container to take up the entire page. So let's select it and define width and height. I'm going to set width to 100%. As for the height, I'm going to assign to it 100 viewport height. So here we say that the container should take up 100% of the height of the viewport. Okay, next I'm going to change the background color. Let's use here color 051321. Okay, so after that, I want to place the card in the center of the page. And for that, let's use Css Flexbox. We need to use 3 different properties. Display flex. Then, in order to center element horizontally, we need justify content center. And for vertical centering, we have to use align items center. Okay, so that's it regarding the container. Next, we have to take care of the card. Right now, the content of the card is not quite visible, so let's fix it using some temporary background. First of all, let's set the width of the card, make it 40 rem. And then change the background color. Use here color DDD. Alright, so now the content is visible. Actually, with the card itself, we are done. We have to customize its parts separately. I'm going to start with the first part, which is going to be the card bio. So let's select it, and at first let's define the background color. I'm going to use here color 45A564. After that, let's create some space inside of the box using padding. I'm going to set padding at the top to 3 rem, then again 3 rem on the right side, 8 rem at the bottom, and 3 rem on the left side. Next, I'm going to place the items horizontally in a row. For that, I'm going to use display flex. And also, I'm going to make the top left and top right corners rounded. For that, let's use border radius. In this case, it should take 4 different values. The first one is going to be for the top left corner. Let's make it 0.5 rem. Then I'm going to use again 0.5 rem for the top right corner. And it should be followed by 2 zeros for the bottom left and bottom right corners. Alright, that's it right now regarding the card bio. We have to style the content. I'm going to start with the button Contact Me, because I think it will make the styling process slightly easier. So let's select it. First of all, I'm going to take care of its position. I want to place it here at the bottom of the card bio, so let's make its position absolute. Then I'm going to set bottom property to minus 2.5 rem, and then we need right position. I'm going to set it to 10 rem. So, as you see, right now the button has ended up at the end of the page. It happens because the position is not working according to the parent element, which is card bio. We have to make its position relative, and then the button will work according to the parent element's position. Alright, so now it's placed correctly. Let's define its width and height. I'm going to set width to 20 rem. As for the height, let's make it 6 rem. And also change the background color, make it 2B303A. Okay, let's move on and add some more styles to the button. I'm going to change the text color, let's make it white. Then make the button rounded using border radius with the value of 5 rem. And also get rid of the default border using border none. Okay, so step by step the button is getting nicer. Let's take care of the font. I'm going to change font family. Let's make it Css serif. Then increase the font size, make it 2.4 rem, and transform text into uppercase. Alright. Actually, there are a couple of styles that I want to add here. I'm going to create some shadow using box shadow with the values 0, 0.3 rem, 0.8 rem, and then the RGBA value. I'm going to use black color with the opacity 0.3. Next, let's get rid of the default outline, set outline to none, and finally change the type of the cursor, make it pointer. Okay, so the button looks pretty nice. Right now we are done with it. As you see, both content of the button is visible. I mean the text contact me and the angle bracket. Let's leave it as it is right now because we will take care of that later on. Alright, once we are done with the button, now we can customize the image and the personal info. Let's go ahead and start with the image. I'm going to select the wrapper div element. First of all, let's define width and height. I'm going to set both of them to 9 rem. And also create the space on the right side using margin right with the value of 3 rem. Okay, after that I'm going to select the image itself. Let's make width and height, both of them, 100%. In this case, image will inherit width and height from the parent div element, I mean the img wrapper. Besides that, we have to use here object fit cover. It will allow us to maintain the quality of the image. And finally, let's make it rounded using border radius with the value of 50%. So now the image looks pretty nice. As you remember, we defined the width of the image from the HTML document. So let's go ahead and get rid of it because we don't need it anymore. Alright, that's it regarding image. Let's move on and customize the personal info. I'm going to select the wrapper. First of all, let's define its width, make it 60%. Then I'm going to add to it a couple of common styles for the heading and for the paragraph. I'm doing that in order to avoid typing the same styles over and over again. So let's go ahead and define font family. Use again Css serif. Then change the color, make it white. And also I'm going to use text shadow with the values 0, 0.1 rem, 0.2 rem, and the black color RGBA with the opacity 0.3. Okay, so after that we need to add some individual styles to both of the elements. Let's start with the heading element. I'm going to make the font size 2.5 rem. Then change the font weight. Make it 500. Also, I'm going to create some space between letters. Make it 0.1 rem. And then create some space at the bottom using margin bottom with the value 1 rem. Okay, that's it about the heading. Let's go ahead and select the paragraph. In case of paragraph, I just want to make the font size 1.8 rem. Alright, so as you can see, the first part of the card, the card bio, looks nice, and actually we are done with it. Now it's time to take care of the next part. I want to customize a little section underneath the card bio, the heading Contact Me. At first, let's select its wrapper, Card Contact. Change the background color. I'm going to use here color 2D814D. Then make the text white. Also, I'm going to create some space inside of the element. Let's use padding. I'm going to set it to 1.5 rem at the top and bottom. As for the left and right sides, let's make the padding 2 rem. And also, I'm going to use border radius. In case of card contacts, I want to make bottom left and bottom right corners rounded. So we need the following values: 0, 0, and then 0.5 rem, and again 0.5 rem. Okay, now let's take care of the heading itself. Let's select it and add to it a couple of styles. First of all, I'm going to change the font family. Let's use again Css serif. Then change the font size, make it 1.8 rem. Then I'm going to set the font weight to 500. Also make the text uppercase. Then create space between the letters, make it 0.1 rem. And finally use text shadow with the values 0, 0.1 rem, 0.2 rem, and the black color with the opacity 0.3. Okay, so that's it regarding this section. I know that it doesn't look quite well. I mean, it is ended up behind the button partially, but actually it's not a problem. We will take care of that soon. Alright, so step by step we move forward. Next I'm going to style the social media contact details. I mean these 3 boxes. Actually, we can get rid of this temporary background because we no longer need it. Then let's go ahead and select the div element with the class cardSocial. First of all, I'm going to make the background color white. Then create some space inside of the box using padding. Let's make it 1.5 rem on all 4 sides. Also, we need to create some space between the boxes using margin. Let's set it to 2 rem at the top and bottom and 0 on the left and right sides. Then let's make the corners rounded using border radius with value 0.3 rem. Also, I'm going to make the elements flex container because I want to place elements horizontally in a row, so use display flex. And then, in order to center the elements vertically, let's use align item center. And finally, we need cursor pointer. Alright, so right now with wrapper we are done. Let's customize the individual elements in those boxes. I'm going to start with the font awesome icons. Let's select the wrapper div element. It has class icon wrapper. I'm going to set width and height, both of them, to 4 rem. Next, I'm going to give the wrapper background color. But as you remember, all 3 font awesome icons have different background colors, so we have to select them individually. Let's go ahead and start with the email. We need email followed by the class icon wrapper. So in case of email, I'm going to use background color with value DD4B39. Then let's duplicate this code twice. The second box is for Facebook, so let's change the class, use here FB, and also change the color. I'm going to use here 3B5998. As for the LinkedIn, let's use the background color 007BB6. Alright, so all 3 icons have the proper background colors. Let's go ahead and add some more common styles to the wrapper. We need here border radius with the value of 50% because we need to make it rounded. Then use Flexbox. I'm going to center the icons perfectly, so let's use display flex. Then justify content center for horizontal centering. As for the vertical centering, we need to use align items center. And then create some space on the right side using margin right with the value 2 rem. Okay, so the wrapper is prepared, everything looks good, and now I have to add some styles to the icons. So let's select them. I'm going to increase the font size, let's make it 2 rem. And also change the color, make it white. Alright, let's move on to the contact details. We have to customize the heading and the paragraph. I'm going to start with the heading. Let's select it. And first of all, let's change the font family. I'm going to use again Css serif. Then change the font size, make it 1.6 rem. Create some space between the letters, I mean 0.1 rem. And also create some space at the bottom using margin bottom with value 0.5 rem. Okay, so that's the way how the headings look right now. We need to give them different colors. Therefore, I'm going to select them separately. Let's start with the email. Let's set the color to DD4B39. Then duplicate this code twice. Change the class name to FB. And also change the color, make it 3B5998. As for the LinkedIn, I'm going to use color 007BB6. Okay, so once we are done with the headings, let's move on and take care of the paragraphs. Let's go ahead and select them. First of all, let's change the font family, use Css serif. Then I'm going to set the font size to 1.4 rem. Change the color, make it 444, and then create some space between the letters, make it 0.1 rem. Alright, so actually with this styling we are almost done. The only element that we have to customize is this little arrow here. So let's go ahead and select it. As you know, it's the span element. First of all, I want to place it on the right side of the box. For that, we can use margin left, and we have to set it to auto. Actually, it's not working. The span element should be placed on the right side. I think we have a little mistake in HTML file, so let's check it out. So the span element should be outside of contact details. Let's fix it quickly. And also change here the selector. We need card social followed by the span. Then I'm going to increase the font size, make it 2 rem. Change the font weight, make it bold. And also I'm going to set the color to 999. Okay, finally with the styling we are done. Now we have to move on and take care of the functionality of the card. I'm going to remind you what we are going to do. So let's look at the finished project. So by default we will hide the contact me section and the social media contact details. Then once we click the button, it will change its shape, position and content, and the elements will appear down here. Alright, let's go ahead and take care of that. First of all, I'm going to add a click event listener to the button. So let's go to the script.js file and select the button. I'm going to use here query selector method. We need to specify the class name inside of the parentheses. We need here card btn. Then we need to attach to it event listener. Let's use method called add event listener. This method takes two parameters, The first one is the type of the event. As we said, we are going to use click. And next we need to pass here the arrow function, which actually will be executed once we click the element. Alright, so let me explain what we are going to do. Actually, we will create a new class in CSS called change. We will add this class to the container, and then using it we will apply new styles to the elements. So let's go ahead and select the container using again query selector method. Let's specify here the class container. Next we have to use the property called class list. This property gives us all the classes that the element has. And now we have to use the method called toggle. So the toggle method allows us to add the class to the element if it doesn't include it, and remove the class if the element includes it. Inside the parentheses we need to put here the class change. Alright, so that's it regarding JavaScript. Now we have to use the class change in CSS. Before I do that, I'm going to hide here a couple of elements. As you know, the heading, contact me, and those three boxes should be hidden by default. So we have to assign to card contact transform with the translate y function. It will allow us to move the element up. Let's pass here minus 100%. So as you can see, the element has moved up, but it ended up at the top of the card bio. Actually, we don't need it. I want to place it behind the card bio. In order to do that, I'm going to use the z-index property. Let's set it to, let's say, 100. So now the problem is fixed. The element has ended up behind the card bio. Okay, let's go ahead and take care of the social media contacts. We have to hide them, and also we have to move them up slightly. So let's use again transform with the translate y function, and in this case let's pass here minus 50%. So the boxes are moved up, and now we have to hide them. In order to hide the element, I'm going to use opacity 0 and also visibility hidden. Alright, so everything is ready. Let's go ahead and make the click event work. When we click the button, then those hidden elements should appear. Let's start with the heading contact me. We have to use class change followed by the class card contact. Then we need transform with the translate y function, and in this case we need to pass here 0. Besides that, let's use transition with the values all 0.5 second. Okay, if I click the button, then the element will appear nicely. I want to add here a little effect. I'm going to decrease the scale of the text to 0 and then make it 1. I mean 100% once we click the button. So we need here transform with the scale function. It allows us to change the size of the element. Let's make it 0. Then select the heading element, but in this case with change class. Then use transform with the scale function, and we have to make the value of scale 1. Then again use transition, insert here all 0.5 second. Okay, so now once we click the button, then the scale of the heading will increase. Right now at a glance it seems that the direction of the transform is from right to left. I think it would be better to change it and make a left to right. For that we have to use the property called transform origin, and we have to make it left. Okay, so now I think it looks better. Let's go ahead and display the rest of the elements. I'm in the social media contacts. So we need to use again class change followed by the card social class. So in order to move elements down, we have to use transform with the translate y function and with the value 0. And then in order to display the elements, we need opacity 1 and visibility visible. After that, we have to use transition, but with different delay time for each box. Let's select email, assign to transition with values all, 0.5 second, and with the delay time 0.3 second. Let's duplicate this code twice. The second one is going to be FB with a delay time 0.5 second. And then for LinkedIn, we need delay time 0.7 second. Alright, so as you can see, everything works fine so far. The only thing that we have to do is to take care of the button. We have to do a couple of things. By default, we need to display the text contact me. Once we click the button, then it should switch to the angle bracket. Also, we need to change the width of the button and the border radius. So first of all, let's center the content, I mean both elements, perfectly inside the button. We need to select card BTN contact, and then the font awesome icon, we need card BTN I. First of all, let's make the width 100%. Then change the position, make it absolute. Next, we need to set top and left properties, both of them to 50%. And finally, we need to use transform with a translate function. And we have to pass here -50% twice. So this technique is used to center the element perfectly. Okay, so the content is centered. Now we have to hide the angle bracket by default. Let's select I element and assign to it opacity 0 and visibility hidden. So once we click the button, we need to hide the text contact me and display the angle bracket. So in this case, we have to use class change, followed by the class card BTN contact. Then we need opacity 0 and visibility hidden. Okay, in order to display the brackets, we need again class change, followed by the I element. And in this case, we need opacity with the value 1 and then visibility visible. Alright, so as you can see, everything works fine. Now we have to take care of the shape of the button. So when we click it, we need to decrease the width of the button. So let's select the button with the class change. I'm going to make width 6 rem. Then change the right position. Let's make it 3 rem. Also, I'm going to change slightly bottom position, make it -3 rem. And finally, use border radius with value 50%. So if we click the button, then it will change its shape. Alright, everything works fine. As I guess, the only thing that we need to do is to add the transition effects. Let's go ahead and start with the button. I'm going to assign to it transition with value all and the duration 0.5 second. Next, we need to add transition to the card BTN contact. Let's insert here all 0.5 second and little delay time 0.1 second. Next, we need transition to again card BTN contact, but with the change class. Let's pass here all 0.1 second. And finally, use transition with the I element, I mean I element with the class change. Let's set duration to 0.5 seconds. Alright, so as you can see, everything works perfectly, and actually we are done with this little project. It was kind of simple one, but hopefully you enjoyed it and learned some new stuff. If you liked the video, then please thumbs up, comment below, share the video, subscribe to our channel, and click the bell to get notified on coming tutorials in the future. Okay, see you in the next video.